Yep. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Jane C. Phillips. We air every Thursday morning at 10:30 Mountain Time, and you can watch this live on Jane's Geyser Energy page, which you can get through janecphillips.com. So thank you so much, Jane. Good morning.
Well, good morning. We were trying to figure out this morning, Pam and I, what we wanted to talk about because I tend to be a little more freeform. And we just spent the last few weeks talking about dowsing.
Mhm.
And we were talking about using my pendulum. I have this fancy pendulum and my L-rod, which I don't have with me, and bobber. And all of these are tools that I use in my personal practice as a medical intuitive, or in my paranormal work that I do when I'm clearing houses. But I wanted to segue a little bit into talking a little bit more about what I do as a medical intuitive with clients that kind of spans the range of both of those things, the paranormal and the regular. And something that I discovered yesterday that I hadn't thought about, but it was clear that we had to do something. So I had a client who, some of you may have experienced this. Nothing you do works. You get bad luck it's like, or maybe you've had a really good period and all of a sudden nothing's working again and you don't know
Right.
what. So, and it's frustrating because you don't know what's going on.
We all get those too.
Yep.
Right? Everybody, it happens to everybody.
Yeah. But if it happens for a couple days or a week, and I know Pam, you had some things with your house and all of those things, but if it just keeps happening, there are a couple things that I was trying to address, and that is, do you have any energy on you personally that's non-beneficial, that's negative? So I work with possessions, which are basically ghost energies that like you better than where they were, and so they're hanging around. And you can have other types of energies on you that actually cause you to not think clearly, and it also causes you to attract non-beneficial people around you. You become a magnet for the negative stuff, and you don't know it. You don't know that this is on you. So my story for today, because Pam said I should tell the story, is I had a client yesterday, and it's somebody I hadn't talked to in many years. And she refound me for a personal session. And she had a lot of darker energies on her. And her bad luck, she said, it's been my whole life. And I meditate all the time and do all of this. And then I still, out of the blue, everything's going pretty fine. And all of a sudden I get hit hard. Like the dogs run over me, and the dog part is though I was invisible. They were playing. It was just as though wasn't even there. And bam, I got an injury. And so the first thing I did was clear her energy field. And that is the number one thing I do for everybody who comes to me, because people find me because their luck is not working. And I always clear their energy first, because I just want to make sure that's out of the way. And then now I have a protocol that I'm establishing on my new clients where it's permanently running. The energy is kind of like a little energetic triage hospital. So any energy that lands on you, and my virtual assistant is making me a diagram so that I can send it out to my clients so they know what I'm doing. But we create a little system where if you get some energy on you that's non-beneficial, it's going to just go away. And that's going to help a lot. But what if I do all this stuff and things are still not working?
Mm-hmm.
And this client yesterday, we did clear. She had a fair amount of energies that needed to be released. But then I had said, because of some other training I've had, I said, maybe you have like a broadcast message or a despair message, which is a broadcast message is something that's in your energy field that you don't know is there, but that creates something. You can put words around it like abuse me or whatever. And so I was going that direction and realized, that isn't it. But there's something that's magnetic to things not going well. And what we figured out, I said, I think your polarities are reversed. And so a plus, which is to bring in positive energy, and a minus, which brings in darker energies. If you were thinking of a AAA battery, if you look at the battery and the battery has a plus and a minus on it, and you plug it into your flashlight and it doesn't work, and you know you've got it right, what if it's mislabeled?
Right.
If the minus is a plus and the plus is a minus. So what does that mean in my world? Well, it means that I do a lot of guided imagery with people. So my client said, we need to address this magnet thing. And I always let my clients help me decide some things too. And I said, okay. So we went in. First, we had to do some energy work. She had some fire in her body that we had to remove and clear up some pain. But we got to the magnet thing, and I said, I want you to peel the label off and put it on right. It's got labeled wrong. And she chose to just flip the magnet over and inside the label, as opposed to peeling the label off and putting it on. She just basically slid the magnet out and put it in the other way.
Okay.
So now we have a magnet that it was going side to side. And she says, well, I think we need to, because what was happening before is her magnet was all the meditation and everything she was doing that people do that really bring in positive energy was attracting negative energy, which is not normal. And then she turned her magnet to be this direction with the positive at the top and the negative at the bottom. And before, what we realized is her magnet had been the negative at the top and the positive at the bottom. So energy, the connection is, sorry about that, everyone. The connection is the wrong way. So we turned it, and then we did some energy work, and I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. But I offered, some of the things I do are so out of the box thinking that
it can be hard for people to understand, right? It's hard to conceptualize something.
Right.
Like how can you explain about turning the magnet? Like how did that do it? Is it something that you visualized or she visualized? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So, I do emotion. I'm a certified emotion code practitioner. So I'm always pulling emotions out of people's bodies that can be causing pain or maybe stinking thinking. I call that, where you've got a program that's running, that a belief system that doesn't serve you, and we pull it. But this was different because it wasn't really, it was like some part of her energy field was misaligned. And so what happens is, when I'm doing guided imagery, we're closing our eyes, we're thinking in small, and we're looking at this battery. I said, well, what kind of battery do you see? And she was seeing a AAA battery, right?
Okay.
With a minus. And I was getting meaning guidance was telling me that the battery was backwards. And she's the one that said, I just need to take the battery and she basically, in the end, ended up with multiple batteries, but she took all of the pluses and did it in an array all throughout her system. So the negative battery was basically shooting down. And even though it looks like it could be in the middle of you, which it really wasn't, what we were doing is we were projecting into her energy field positivity, which is attracting what she needed. We're still experimenting if this worked, because one of the other things that just popped into my head is, what if we have the positive side and it's actually positive and negative, touch each other?
Right.
So that just popped in now. So I'm glad you're listening to this live. So I have to figure that piece out. But our intention is a big piece. So what we were trying to do with this is get the positivity being attracted in. And so whether doing the positive battery out is going to attract positive. I believe it is because that was our intention.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something that she was necessarily doing wrong. And so I guess what I want you all listening to know is that a session with me gets pretty creative.
Right.
And is unique to each of you. So what I've done for somebody else might be an idea for what I would do with you, but it might not be. It might be a new idea to explore.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like I think of it like anything. Like if you go to a medical doctor or something, I mean, and you describe symptoms, they don't always know exactly what to do. They're having to figure it out just like you do, right? There's no automatic. It's having to pull out information and figure out what works and what might not.
Yeah. And my experience with this energy thing, I know it was working. That we were getting a lot of release of stuck stuff in her system in other ways too. One of the things that happens to me when somebody's finally releasing things that don't serve them is I get a hot flash. And and so we were cooking along toward the end, and all of a sudden, bam, I'm like really warm. And I always verbalize that. So I told my client that I was getting really warm, and I said, well, just wait till I'm cooling off. And we'll know that part is done. So my experience, she felt a lot better. She was she was feeling like boxed in and not a lot of options and wondering if she should stay in Santa Fe. She's a Santa Fe person right now. And she wants to move out of state. But was feeling like desperate about money things and all that other stuff that can happen to us. And we release so much stuff. So she's got some headspace. And I told her to hold off for about 6 days because it's going to be releasing. So she'll have some headspace to think about more clearly, way more clearly what to do next.
Yeah.
And hopefully what we did, whether somebody argues with me that, well, I don't think the polarity's right, don't worry about it. The truth, we'll see what happens. But I believe we basically created an energy attraction of positive energy using the magnets yesterday. And so I'm excited to see what happens next, because I've been doing guided imagery way before I was doing some of the other things I did, and found early on as a business and life coach that the guided imagery thing they showed us, I had a particular talent for it, and I was really good at helping people get unstuck in a variety of ways. And so it's nice to be able to incorporate it again.
Right. And you are really good at it. And I think to maybe help people understand, it's sometimes hard to grasp, but it really does work. It really is. The work that you do is very beneficial.
Well, it's quantum. I know it gets thrown out around a lot, but quantum energy work is the whole Einstein thing, where your thoughts create things. So if our thinking is to create something positive, and I get an image, and my client gets an image, because I try and work with something you can imagine that you've seen in real life, and we were working with some fire in her system. That I said, oh, you put the fire out, but the coals are still burning, so we had to throw water on the coals. And I gave her a hose, an imaginary hose, and then she had some fire in her back, and then we had a coal, and we had other things in there. But when you're focused on imagery with your thoughts, and yes, you're making it up, that's okay. Right. You actually are moving the energy within your system, and you can move it in a really positive way. And that's how quantum physics works. So even though it seems really woo-woo, it's really a science.
Right.
And I happen to be good at this type of science.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just me. I always tell people it's the energies that are working with me. I'm the conduit to talk to you. But so I'd love to help. Mm-hmm. And that's an example that I thought was kind of interesting.
Right. I think it is. Yeah. Hopefully the listeners out there do too.
Well, yeah. And understand too, this is about, if nothing's going right, your house has a lot of troubles, everything's breaking, nothing in your life is going right, or you go to the dog park innocently with your dog and a bunch of dogs are playing and it's just as though you're not there and all of a sudden you're down, right? And you're
Mhm.
things like that all the time. There's usually an energetic piece that can be addressed, and I'm good at that. And supporting you around that, and not making you wrong for wondering what you did to create all this, because sometimes just things in your body. So
Right. Things just happen, but you
yeah,
can control it. And if people want to reach you, they can find you on janecphillips.com.
yep.
Yep.
And yeah, reach out if you've got a problem with your house, that things aren't going right, or you just bought something and it doesn't feel right, or you're one of those people that bad luck just seems to follow you around.
Mhm.
Feel free to reach out, because I do 15-minute free consultations just to see if what I do would be a fit for you. So there's no obligation. But yeah, a lot of times just pulling the energy off will make huge difference. And sometimes we have to do more, like I did the other day. But
Right. And you do this remotely. You don't have to be in person. You're
yeah,
typically or do not work in person right now, right?
yeah, I don't work in person anymore. I do things by Zoom or phone because I'm all over the world, mostly all over the United States, but I do have clients in other countries that I've worked with. And so I've stuck to Zoom, and it's effective, and you can see what I look like.
Yes. Yep.
So thanks.
Yep.
But
Thanks,
yes,
everybody.
reach out. Yeah.
Yep. Have a great day. Thanks so much, Jane.
Thanks for hosting, Pam. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And enjoy your vacation.